Hey guys, quick disclaimer, if you're watching the video version of the podcast this week, it's going to look a little different than our previous episodes because I lost the footage for the wide shot. So it's just a close-up footage the whole time, but it's still awesome and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Story. I'm here with some of my awesome friends, some of my favorite people. We're doing a girl talk episode today, so we got these awesome ladies with us. I'm going to introduce them in a second, but I want to say thanks for tuning into the podcast, whether you're listening only in the audio version or you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode inspires you, encourages you, and for all you girls out there listening, we hope you can relate to some of our struggles here. We're just going to be real, we're going to be raw, and I'm excited to chat with some of these girls. I've known them for probably, what would you guys say?
A decade.
10, at 11. Least 10 years.
Yeah.
All of you guys.
Yeah, 11.
So let's just introduce all of you guys because you guys are some of the best people I know, some of the most amazing people that I've met here in Hawaii, as I've lived here for 13 years. And so probably my longest friends also, which is crazy for me to think, being a military kid and moving all the time. So yeah, some of my longest friends. I'm gonna be sad when we leave because I won't have you guys next to me, but of course FaceTime and all that stuff. But anyways, we'll start on this side with Shani. Okay. Tell us your name. Also, I love snacks, so I need to know favorite snack because I'm a snacker. And when did we meet?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
All right. Oh, yes. Okay, so my name is Shani Lynn Chambers. Favorite snack, if I had to choose something, because it changes all the time, is like a Chex Mix, like a homemade Chex Mix. Though.
Okay.
Like I can't make it, but like I'll buy it from someone who makes it, you know? Yeah. I think we met at Amplify when it was still with Children's Art, kind of, in the auditorium or the gym
like
in Barrington.
Days? Yeah.
Purple shirts and everything.
Wow, the purple shirts.
Yeah, I have some pictures of us from back then, and then we started going to Pac Rim at the same time or around the same time, I think. Yeah, I have some great photos from that era. You're a dork.
I need to see the purple. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yes, were you the one who posted the Fruit Loop one?
The Fruit Loop
that's
one.
The one I remember from like Pac Rim days.
She's got like a stack of Fruit Loops in her mouth.
It's pretty good.
It is
pretty good. All right, thanks, Shani. Yeah. And then April, tell us about you.
Yeah, hi, I'm April. My favorite snack is, lately I've been really loving this crab chips from Shaka Shack. Oh, you guys gotta try it. Yeah, my boss brought it in one time and I loved it. It's chips. You know, like those shrimp chips, but crab flavored? I don't know, I like it.
I'm not
Did
a
you like
shrimp
it?
chip girl.
No? Shrimp chips the best.
I probably wouldn't try it, but
I love
There's a market
I
for
love
it.
crab. My brother and I love crab, so it's just
And do you remember when we met?
I think we haven't officially met. Like we've known each other around when you were Micah's assistant. Well, Brandy, I don't know. I think
probably
it was
around that time.
Was it? Yeah, but I remember you doing videos all the time. That was when you were transitioning from OG to NHO video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That time.
Yeah, so I was around.
Internship time. Internship when she did it.
I was around, but I didn't know you until I think I started coming around more. I don't know what it was. I remember one photo shoot that we did with Tiani.
Yes, with the denim shirts.
The denim
shirts.
Hilarious.
Back in 2011, 2012, I
under
think.
The tent.
Yeah, in the dumpsters, Alyssa.
In the dumpsters.
If I can find it, I'll send it to
and
you.
the forklift. We were posing, I think, on the forklift or something. Some kind of contraption.
Yeah.
I can just imagine that.
Yeah. Is that when Tiani started her business?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that photo shoot. Yeah. It was around that time.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we all know each other from church, so this is probably gonna sound super foreign, like Amplify. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what it is. And then Mel.
Yes, I am Mel, and short for Melody, Joy, Keola Kalani, Badayos.
There you go.
And
look her
my
up.
favorite snack right now. No, don't. You can if you want. My favorite snack right now, I think, would have to be it's goat cheese covered in blueberries. You can get it from Whole Foods.
Yes,
not sponsored, not an ad, with these fig crackers. It's just the best thing ever. And yeah, it's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
I met Alyssa when she was still in high school, not married, no child. And I believe that was in 2009. I met you in the middle of the field, and you started coming around with your sister to help out with our junior high ministry.
Yeah.
And that's how I met her.
True. And many, many memories. Melby for president. You can't forget that. Gotta bring that up. That's crazy. And Mel also used to be like my life group leader in high school. Like she was my leader, like my mentor. And now she's one of my best friends. And also I just look up to you so much. You're still like that mentor figure to me. So yeah, it's crazy how when I was thinking about it the other day, just in general, how long I've lived here on the island, it's crazy to think about that it's almost like half of my life. And then also to think about that these are like my longest friendships. So yeah, don't want to think about it too much because I probably will cry when
we want to see tears. You know, the funny thing is actually when I think about it, like you said that I was your leader and, you know, a mentor figure. And when I think about it now, I look up to you so much. And although you were younger and I was older, you were always teaching me things. So yeah, now we can learn from each other. We've always been learning from each other. So I just think that's a beautiful thing. And these ladies as well, we've known for years.
Yeah, literally. We all, I feel like, learn from each other. And I want to get into the first topic. But before that, I thought it would be fun to just, I don't know, I just thought of this just now. Like I didn't even prep them or anything. But like some funny stories that we all, like whether it's with like you two or me and you or whoever it is, any of us, any funny stories that we can think of. Just, I don't know, to lighten the mood a little bit.
Funny stories.
Funny stories.
I'll think of one real quick while you guys think.
Okay.
But for Mel, like, there's a lot of funny stories because you're literally one of the funniest people that I know. But I think about like when I don't want to say stalked, okay? Because we didn't stalk. But like
I wasn't. I was helping the girls out.
We went to go find the Jonas Brothers in Waikiki.
Yes, stalked them.
We did.
And
Waikiki?
what is that?
The Shell Waikiki concert?
No, well they were on the beach. It was like no, it was a beach concert.
Okay.
But it was for like the Hawaii Five-0 like premiere. Nick Jonas was a featured actor in like the premiere of the show. And so they had all of them do like a little mini concert. I say mini because I feel like it's very small compared to their actual like arena concerts. And like my dream was forever to see the Jonas Brothers in concert. Like I loved them. I was convinced I was gonna marry Nick Jonas. Like I was one of those girls. And so when they finally came here, by that time I feel like my obsession with them dwindled a little bit, you know? But anyways, I got to see them, so my dream was complete, right? Saw them in concert. And then like they post on Instagram like, oh, the view from our hotel. And so like we were telling Mel like, dude, we need to find their hotel. And long story short, we ended up, a few of us went to Waikiki, and we were outside of a hotel room because she was like looking at the photo. You were looking at the photo. No, but I mean, we didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything.
We're not crazy, but we are crazy, but we didn't do anything. But we were convinced we were outside of his hotel room. I don't think we really. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? We didn't knock. See, we weren't that creepy. We weren't knocking and like camping out there, but I feel like if we weren't in front of their hotel room, we were pretty close, I feel like.
Yeah, I felt like we were there.
We don't know for sure.
According to my measurements, we were there.
Based off of the photo and like, you know.
According to my coordinates, we were there.
And luckily, nobody like was suspicious. That's why I was like, there's no way. Yeah. Like maybe we weren't in front of it because I feel like there may be like security or something. Maybe nowadays security is more crazy. But anyways, that's just a fun memory that I have with Mel because... Man, if we were actually outside, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
But you know, if we were, then
5 feet away from.
We got a good investigator here. Anyways, yeah. What about you guys? Any other stories you guys can think of? Silly, fun
Shani
stories.
Shani is the best storyteller.
No, I'm not.
She is. She is.
You know, I have a list of people who would tell me the opposite. But thank you for encouraging me.
I'm telling you. Oh my!
Sorry,
who are these people?
We shouldn't. No name dropping, right?
No name dropping.
You know who you are. Anyways, I really want to drop the name. No, just kidding. I can think of one. It's not really a funny story. It was actually like a really exciting story. It didn't work out, but I remember when you guys decided to stay, you and Melissa decided to stay on Oahu when your parents left, and I think you were in Manoa for like a year or something, right? And then Michaela and I were moving out of our mom's home, and we were like, let's get a place together. And we didn't end up getting a place together, but it was such a fun process, like looking at homes together.
We
and
did
like,
look at
yeah,
places.
we did. And we went to like a couple different showings together, and just like dreaming of what something living together would be like, and who's gonna share rooms, because sisters didn't want to be together, but like which of the sisters would match with each other best. Anyways, I thought that was a strengthening moment in our relationships for sure. But
do you know what year that was?
That was probably 2014, because Michaela and Kapili got married in 2015, and so our plan was move out and then prepare for her to be able to, like, me leave and then him move in when they get married. So it kind of worked out better that way anyways, because it was short term for me. But yeah, 2014 probably, or 13.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Good times though. I love like dreaming with friends about things, doing things like that together. April and I have also had that.
We've dreamt a lot.
There was this one day I was working in it also didn't happen, which is, it's okay, because it's a process. You have to think about it and decide if it's right for you, right? So anyways, I was working in accounting, and April was working where we work now together, and we both were like, let's take a long lunch break, and we drove to Waiua.
I remember that.
To look at this ghetto apartment together.
I remember that.
We drove past it and we're like, this is not happening. We gotta stay at home.
Yes, I had a 30-minute break, and I was like, I asked, can I extend
like the
my
whole
break?
way there.
Yes, exactly. So it ended up being an hour and a half.
Oh, you say hour
Oh
and a
my
half?
gosh, yeah, because
Anyway.
travel time.
It was like, what was the rent? $700?
It was so cheap.
Yes, it was
not
But
so
there's
cheap.
a reason
So
why it's
good.
so cheap.
Even
Oh
in
my
daylight,
gosh.
we're like, oh,
this is not
probably
like
not for
the
us.
safest.
Yeah.
It was like near like a nuclear plant looking thing.
Oh
Like,
my god.
It's like if someone kidnapped
third
us,
eye.
they would have so many places
Yeah.
to hide back here.
we were like, we
That
saw
is
it.
sketchy.
We looked in it, like, and then we just left. I
Yep.
think we were
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that's not it. And
But
then
good,
our dream
almost
died.
adventures with you guys. And we
That
lived
is
on the same
crazy.
street as each other.
We did.
Us and like 12
Oh,
other
we
people.
did.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
that was like,
cool.
yeah, that was crazy. We're
times.
all like literally on the same
Yeah,
street.
buildings away.
We crashed with you guys for a little bit.
yeah. We
oh
did
no,
room
we
together.
we were roommates, but then
Yeah.
after that we crashed with you guys. There's just a lot.
There
There's
is
a lot
a
of
lot.
history here, but let's just get right into the topic today. So the girl talk, I don't know if that intimidates people or it makes it cheesy or whatever, but it's just a bunch of girls talking. So
Yeah.
I figured, why not just call it girl talk?
Yeah.
And obviously that can mean anything, but I have a few topics that I wanted to hit. And the first one is comparison, just because I feel like people talk about it, especially nowadays, but I don't know, I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say about comparison and comparison in like social media, which that's something that I struggle with sometimes, or even comparison with looks or comparison with seasons of life, comparisons with careers and those kind of things. So yeah, I just wanted to leave it open for you guys to actually let me hear from April, because the reason, like when I thought of this, I think about my own struggles with comparison, but then I also thought about one thing you said. I can't remember specifically because I have horrible memory, but I remember you did like a ministry time or like a prayer time or something at Collective, which is our young adults ministry here at our church. And you talked about that. I feel like you talked about comparison and where you thought you would be now at the
Right.
age that you're at. And then it was like, that's not how
Right.
life is, what you envision. So yeah, and I thought it was so powerful. Even though I had like Ryder and he was like screaming, I was like in and out, but I was like, oh, April, what she's saying is so good, and you had like such a confidence saying it. So I would love to hear what you have to say about
I
like
don't remember.
comparison.
No, I'm kidding. No, yeah. Well, I think growing up, I've always had like the expectation on me to be someone, to be something, and having like certain skills, kind of like, and being like an overachiever in high school, whatever, like that just amplified it even more. So then I grew up just comparing myself a lot. Like growing up, my parents would always be like, why can't you be like so-and-so and they're like this, and you internalize those things, and it's like you always think that you're not good enough for what you have right now. And I think my journey into like being an adult, being by myself, is coming to a place where, okay, wait, this is who I have, is me. I'm gonna be in my own skin for the rest of my life, and me and the Lord, you know, like this is like, people will come and go, like, you know, seasons come and go. And like, I had to come to this decision where I was like, I have to like be okay with myself first.
Yeah.
I think knowing what it feels like to compare and not be like joyful at the end just really sucks. And I don't want that. Like, I really don't want that for myself or people around me. So it had to start with like just digging deep, like go in prayer and like really self-reflecting on why is it that I try to compare myself, and I had to go to that root of like, okay, this is what happened when I was young, and that really formed my thoughts. And I had to like go against what my initial thoughts were. It's like, oh, whoa, like this person looks like they have their life together, and I feel like my life is like falling apart. And then I'm actually, this is like just to share, but I've been in therapy for like 4 years, and it's the best thing I've ever done. Yeah, and it started off because I was heartbroken, but then it moved and shifted into like this, like, oh no, like I want to have a good relationship with myself first if I want to have a good relationship with other people. And then that's when I think the beauty of it started like showing up after years of therapy. It's like, oh wait, I actually like what I have. Like that's when it's not that I don't compare, but I'm aware of like when I do, and it's like, oh wait, no, these are the things I'm grateful for. And this is what makes my story, and not so much like other people's story, because that's theirs. Like what is for them, and this is for me, and this is my journey. And it's like, it sounds a little cliche, but also like if you're living and walking through it, there's such a freedom in that when you don't have to compare yourself to what's out there. And like, I'm happy like with the season I'm in. It's like, and it's not that I never feel sad, but like I think the journey was contentment. It really was contentment with what I have right here, right now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. It's crazy, like when you think about it, like just comparison in general, like it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people struggle with it. I mean, obviously it's just human nature to do it, but like why do I do it? It's dumb, it's pointless, and it's like you're saying, we should stay in our own lane, because we all have different journeys. And one of the like things that I struggle with comparison is like social media. It's like I see other people and their life looks amazing, and they're like traveling and doing all this stuff. And I mean, I love my life for sure, but then there's those moments where I'm like, oh, well, I wish I could do this, and maybe I wish I made more money so I could do this, and maybe I wish I could travel more. And I don't know, it's just like that comparison game that just happens. It's like a roller coaster, right? It's like I'm constantly like, okay, maybe I should just like unfollow. Not unfollow, but like if it's like an influencer or something, maybe unfollow or whatever, but or mute people, because it can be like toxic, I feel like sometimes, where I'll just be like, dang, I wish I had that. I wish I had that kind of house. I wish I had that kind of car. I wish I had that kind of money to do XYZ. And really like take, especially now with our business, like really take the business to the next level. It'd be much easier if I had all this money, but I don't, and I'm just starting out, and it's a lot of investing money into it. And so yeah, what about you guys on comparison? Do you guys struggle with comparison at all?
I think a part of me, I have to be honest, a part of me does. But when you talk about like influencers, I don't follow too much influencers. Just because they're influencers doesn't mean they have like a great impact on my life. And that's the important thing for me. And when I look at my life, I'm like, man, I wish I was married. I wish I had kids. And then I take a step back and I'm like, you know what? I'm thankful for my life. All I have is all I need right now. And I'm going to be grateful, and I'm going to lean into my season. And I'm going to become, I know people like to say, the best version of themselves, but literally, what does that look like? And so for me, I definitely dream about like being married and having children, but it's not something that I fully allow to, like, I don't allow it to get to me so much. Because if it does, I mean, what am I doing, right? And so for me, I just focus on what I have and being thankful and grateful, and
Yeah, that's good. I think
it sounds easy, but it's not sometimes. But those are the things that I choose to focus on, the good things rather than let the other things affect me.
Yeah.
And I've just learned how to run in my own lane. Like, you know, you've given me, we've been all given one life, and how are we gonna live it to our best potential?
Yeah.
How are we become better versions of ourselves? And it's not easy. It's definitely a struggle, right? Even like the whole money thing. If I had money, I would do this. But then, if you think about it, a lot of those people that do have money, they're, you know, everyone's always going to present their best on their social media. They're not going to be vulnerable. They're not always going to say their struggles. And I can tell you right now, all those people who have all this money, they probably struggle every single day.
Yeah.
They crave relationships. I mean, you can look at the most influential person. I'm not going to say any names, but you guys can decide who that is. And they probably struggle. Like, I wish I could just step outside of my house without 50 billion paparazzis trying to shoot me. I wish I could go to the grocery store. I wish I could take my child to the park. So everyone has their own struggles where they're comparing things, right? Whether you got it or you don't, right? What does that really look like? And that's it for me.
No, yeah. I love that that's like a practical thing for anybody out there who's comparing or struggles with comparison. And like, even in the moments where I struggle with comparison, that's such a practical thing, is to just stop and like list what you're thankful for, and really look at your life and, okay, this is what I do have and why are you thankful for it, and really just like do that self-reflection, because I think it will, like for me, in those moments where I do compare, I try to do that, and it really does shift like everything. It shifts my focus on what I'm doing in life and why I have what I have and all that stuff. So Shani, what about you with comparison?
Yeah. I am really grateful that I'm always late on the game with social media. So like, seriously, when I think I got my Instagram when I was probably like 21 or something, and I was like, I didn't know how to use Instagram. I'm super late on all the new features, and I'm like, I'm such a dork because of that, but also I'm so grateful because it's not as interesting to me because I'm so late and I'm not up with everything. So I find myself like comparing more in relationships and like seasons of life, like you identified. That was a good way to label that. But I look at relationships that I have, and sometimes I'll feel a little less than if somebody seems to like love or care for me less than I love and care for them. And that's where I probably struggle the most. And I've grown a lot. I'm like a pretty needy person though, in that way, I think, where I just want to be confident in my relationships. And so if I see that I'm missing out on some kind of interaction and deepening of friendship, then it's like, oh, like, am I not doing enough? Am I not fun enough? You know, those kind of things. And honestly, I know I'm not as fun as some people, but I also know that I'm loved at the end of the day, and I'm cared for. And sometimes people won't meet our standards. And in relationships, sometimes that can change and we can grow and care for each other better. But also sometimes I have to change my standards too. So it's something I'm still processing through and probably will for a very long time. Like just looking at our parents, for example, like the struggles don't end when you're older, you know, like when you're a parent already. And I mean, as you grow in that, you're going to probably keep finding new things you'll struggle with, right? And whether or not the rest of us become parents and wives and whatever else roles we want to play, well, our age doesn't make a difference in the struggle always. I think that's true. That life will always bring its challenges, and it might be something we're struggling with now that just evolves into something different that we'll just get stronger in, because I don't know, we're pretty solid people, you know, we'll struggle and wrestle, but we'll get back up. So that's why I try to remind myself when I'm like, I'm not as great as that person, and they don't want to hang out with me and stuff. It feels so gross to say that, but it's like such a reality. So I don't want to knock it if anyone else is wrestling with that. It's pretty normal. So.
Something that I really identify with when it comes to struggling is like comparing the seasons of life, whereas like, dude, I really wanted marriage and kids, and to see like how awesome your family is, it's like, whoa, that's so awesome, I want to have that, like, and that's something that I think I've dreamt of And that's not possible right now because, I don't have that. I don't have a relationship. That means no kids. So then I think I had to look into like what I do have right now. And the kids around me are my cousins. Like those are, and I think I'm pouring like the energy towards those relationships because I value what's around me now, which means I'm practicing the values I want to have in my future relationships and families.
Yeah, that's good. And that's so true because you probably are such a big influence in their life more than you know. Like just the influence that you have in your cousin's life, and you probably wouldn't be able, if you had been married by now and had kids, that wouldn't be possible now.
Right.
So yeah, that's so true. There is like a blessing in every season, and I mean that's awesome because you're investing into their lives, into your cousin, in Kate's life. Love little Kate. But like she probably looks at you as like a big sister, and that's like so special. So yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. I love that, the blessings in like the different seasons. Looking at those. But I mean, you mentioned relationships and marriage, and we kind of all hit that a little bit. So let's just get into that, into relationships, into the nitty gritty. I feel like as I've grown older, I don't mind talking about relationships, but I never used to talk about it before. Like, I feel Mel's giving me a look.
There's some looks.
No, but even before I moved here, like in junior high or early high school, like if I had a crush on a boy, you would not. No one would hear about it. Not a peep. Not my sister, not my mom, not even the boy, not my friend at school, nobody. I would just keep it to myself. Like I was always like so quiet about it. I don't know. It was just weird, I feel like. Or not weird. Maybe it was weird, but also like I knew my mom would say like, no, you're not dating. And my mom was very strict in that way. So maybe that's a part of it. I don't know. But yeah, let's just get into relationships. Anybody want to say anything? Well, should we say our like, status. Are you guys, our status, our relationship status? Only like whatever you want to say. Well, I'm married.
Before we say that, I will say this.
Wait, I'm excited to hear this.
I will say this. Even as
you have something to tell me?
Even as you get, even as you get older and you start to grow feelings for someone, it can also be awkward still.
Yeah.
So you could be like 12 and like, oh my God, I have a crush on, so-and-so. You can be in your 30s and be like not wanting to share that. And I think
it's vulnerable.
Well, it's vulnerable and you're afraid of heartbreak.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like that heartbreak and getting hurt, that doesn't end when you get older.
Yeah.
It's almost like you get older and then it's like, oh, it shouldn't even happen even now because I should know better. But reality is. And then when you're caught up in a certain culture, I'm not going to say any kind of culture, but when you're caught up in a culture where you feel like it's a sin or you have to hide it. I said sin, so you can guess the culture. Oh. But when you're caught up in that culture and they make you, your environment makes you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Like God created relationships and it's a beautiful thing and it shouldn't be something to be ashamed of. So I just wanted to add on to what you were saying.
No, but let's just stick on that because I wrote that down too, like the culture. Like obviously we mentioned that we're all a part of a church and stuff like that. And we're not just saying our church, but I feel like it's churches almost everywhere. In a lot of places, I'm not going to say every church, but I would say a majority of churches, if I could say that. I haven't been to a majority of churches, but I'm just from what other people have said, I feel like across the world, you see it on social media, is that there is that kind of culture in churches where dating is kind of like frowned upon, or there's like weird ways to date, or it's just really weird. And it's like, if you like somebody, like just don't say anything type of thing sometimes, or just hide it and all that stuff. And so, I mean, you touched on it, but what do you guys think? If you have an experience with it?
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, say
or a few more things.
Go for it. A few more things.
A few more things. I think a lot of times in the church, we're so focused on the sin and what can happen instead of focusing on like the beauty of what can happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, if we explain, or, if we're in relationship with these other individuals, if I'm in relationship with Alyssa, doesn't mean she's going to be perfect. Lord knows she wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. But if we're in that constant relationship, and it allows her to be free and open to what she's feeling, what she's experiencing. And I'd rather know where she's at anyways, instead of being like, no. And I don't even think I did that to you. I don't think I was ever like, no, you can't do that. Because it's uncomfortable. We're supposed to feel safe when we're at the church, not like we have to hide something. That's the last thing we want. Yeah. So yeah, that's something that is important, not focusing on what could go wrong, but focusing on, hey, what if this is something that God is orchestrating to be a beautiful story, right? And you have a beautiful story. And yeah, there's so many different topics, but.
No, yeah, and I think too, like I heard in a message, you just reminded me, I heard in a message one time from another church that like so many times you hear in the church setting, oh, you don't need a date right now, just date Jesus. Like that famous line of just date Jesus, right? Jesus is all you need right now. But really, like too, like that's like such a cheesy, like cliche saying that we hear a lot in the church too. But what that pastor was saying at the time is sometimes when you say that to people and you don't know what they're like going through internally, like they could be like super lonely, and that almost dismisses like their loneliness and like their feelings about all of that. And I don't know, I thought that was really interesting because I never thought about it that way. Like if you were to tell somebody, oh, you're fine, just date Jesus. And I'm not saying that just like you need to go out and date to fulfill that loneliness. That's not what he was saying. But I just thought that was such an interesting perspective. And I feel like that's something that is said all the time.
Or be patient.
Be patient.
Be patient. You know, God is just growing you. I'm like 27 and I see a 20-year-old getting married. And then it makes me think, am I not grown enough?
Right.
But then there's somebody 7 years younger, or I'm not mature enough.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you like a gaslighting, but it kind of makes you feel like, you know, a certain type of way. Like, why? What do you mean? And you start questioning yourself, like, and then you start comparing yourself. Oh, is it because she's that? Is it because, you know, and it just kind of gets you down with all these weird sayings that people like to put on you sometimes.
Yeah.
I also, in regards to like people's advice on when you're waiting or like wanting and waiting, the suggestion to just wait and be patient and God has someone for you. It's like, well, also like some of the best advice I think I've received is like, are you in places where there's potential people that you might be interested in or like might be interested in you? If you're in your regular circle all the time and nobody's there, then why not try another place that you might be able to meet someone, you know? Put yourself out there if that's what you want and be wise about it. But like, you could do something a little more about it. So I don't think that's a bad thing. It definitely wouldn't want to force things, but like open your options if you want to.
Open it all up.
No, that's good because I feel like too, you hear saying like, oh, I need to hear a word from the Lord, like that this is the one, or that I can go on a date with this one. And it's like not that deep, in my opinion. Like, just go out and have like it's not a bad thing. It's not a sin to go out and have coffee with somebody.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to be in love to go on a date
and
to get to know someone.
And that's also not like full on, like I'm going to coffee, I'm marrying this person.
Yeah,
I'm committed to this person.
And that is what we've like been
it's
kind
so
of like
weird.
Conditioned,
It's so weird.
But I don't think anyone like has intended that unhealthiness.
Yeah.
It's just like, this feels like, you know, we're protecting each other from the things that could happen.
From like
because there is
heartbreak
crazy
and
stuff.
yeah.
Relationships have crazy stuff, but it's like too coddled and it's too sheltered where it's like not realistic anymore. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it just, sometimes I think about it, I'm just like, dang, it's so crazy. And like, even with, so like my experience, I mean, you guys all know, like my previous relationship before Pono, like it wasn't the best one and it was like not good at all. And the worst part is that like, I pretty much hid everything from, I never really told you guys, oh, like me and this guy are dating. And to be honest, me and that guy never really said that we were like dating. It was just like really, this might be news to like all of you guys.
This is new to me.
Because I don't know, it was such like a like, I don't want to say bad season because there's so much I learned from it. But there's times where I'm like, dang, I wish that didn't happen. But also it's like a part of my story and like a part of like how I learned so many things and like how my marriage is in a place where I'm like really happy with it because I've learned so much from my mistakes. and it taught me like just a bunch of things, but like that was a thing too. And I don't know why I felt like I had to hide it or anything. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I need to go to therapy more. Because like, honestly, I've been thinking about going to therapy, and I probably am when I move to Alabama.
Yeah.
I literally think like, anyways, I applaud you for that. That's amazing. Because I'm going to do it when I move for sure. But yeah, I think maybe it was because my mom didn't approve of this person, and a lot of my friends didn't really approve of the person or think that like it was the match for me and all that stuff, and I was just being super rebellious. And I would say that's probably like my rebellious phase when I like didn't listen to anybody. And there were so many like red flags in just like the whole thing, just like my parents not approving it, and especially like my mom. Like me and my mom are very close, like especially to this day, like we're super close. And so for her to say, if you continue to talk to this person, I don't want to talk to you at all. Like that was like the hardest like part of it. Like I didn't even talk to my mom for, I don't know, maybe like a month, maybe more. I honestly don't remember. But I'm sure my mom called you plenty times. I'm sure my sister called you plenty times, because we were like, I'm sure I probably called you plenty times during that time. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know why the start of it, maybe it was because I had to hide it because it wasn't like a good thing, and I don't know. But yeah, there's just so many different things in relationships that really like, I don't know, you learn a lot from them. And that wasn't my brightest moment, my brightest time, my best time, but I definitely learned a lot from it. And yeah, hiding it is not good, guys. Right. Don't hide it. That's why
right after that, you like, we talked about accountability stuff. Yeah. And that's like an immediate application of like what you learned through that season.
Well, I think like too, like just that relationship also had many ups and downs. Like if we were to call it a relationship, which it technically was, but we never put a label on it.
Situationship.
If we were, situationship. Oh my gosh, did you make that up?
No.
Situationship. I was gonna say, you need to like trademark that or something. That's amazing. Yeah, situationship. But like if we were to say like we were dating and boyfriend and girlfriend, like it was up, it would be like an on and off relationship. Like 1 minute we're fine, 1 minute we're not. It was just like a roller coaster of emotions, and it was just not good. And I forgot what I was gonna say now, because I'm stuck on this amazing. I love that situationship. I love that. But yeah, it was just not good. And yeah, I don't know. I'll probably think of what I was gonna say. I lost track. But
speaking of situationships,
let's hear your situationship.
Well, buckle up, buttercups.
Oh my gosh, get ready for the tea. No, there's no tea. But I'm just sharing from my experience. I think with purity culture and with the best intentions, I think like the church just wanted the best for the youth. But what ended up happening just wasn't the healthiest way to approach it. So I had a situationship with this person for 8 years, I think. Look at this.
That's all caps. That's all caps.
I remember 2013, like
8 years.
Dude, it was like on and off. That. But this is like my personal like experience in this, sure. And like to all the girls like attached, like it's hard. Like, dude, it's really hard to like get yourself unattached and get an idea of your identity without the other person. It's really difficult. But anyway, so this situationship started with the best intentions, like, oh, you know, you gotta know, and like, I gotta hear from the Lord, and like all that stuff. And it was like almost this pressure of like, oh, dude, if we actually date, I gotta marry you, and you know,
like that's it.
That's
commitment from the beginning.
Yeah, right. And I think that's what prevented us from being more free. Looking back now, because everything happens before, during, and after. Like, I had phases of everything. And now in hindsight, like, that's a lot of pressure on this person. And like, I definitely feel more empathy for that. But dang, like, going through it, I was like, why couldn't we just be out in public and like go in coffee shops and at least tell people what we are? Like I don't think I knew what it was. But deeper than that, I think what was happening is like this person wasn't sure about it. With that, it, like I think caused a lot of hurt. Like it definitely caused a lot of hurt. considering I went to therapy for it. But it wasn't, it was just that I couldn't get past it on my own.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I needed some help to like get through it and make some changes in my life for it. And I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, like that's all done. That's like a chapter behind me. And now there are things that I would definitely not, it's not to tolerate, but like not accept, like set that boundary of like, if somebody wants to date me, this is what I would like. And I'm no longer gonna be like, oh, I guess like there was the infatuation and all that, like let the other person kind of dictate where to go. Like I've learned so much about having that boundary of like what I want and then go through a dating thing.
Then we're more similar than I thought as to where like we both kind of hid it from people, right? And it's like you don't want to be seen out with these people because it's like, I don't know. It's just really weird, and like the up and down of it all, and the like to me it was like definitely one of the hardest, I would probably say one of the hardest things that I've been through. Definitely was for me. Yeah, just like the heartbreak and then heartbreak and now you're whatever, all that stuff. And like for me, it came to a point where I was just like, I'm done. I actually remember the day that it was like officially like done. You were in the coffee shop and I had been telling you about all this, and me and this person weren't talking to each other, and he decided to text me and was like, oh, can we talk? And we hadn't been talking to each other, and I was like, oh no, here it is again, the up and the down, like, are we gonna get back together or not? And I remember talking to you, I forget what exactly we were saying. You just gave me like the best advice probably ever. You always do. Nothing, but the thing about her is she was never like, you knew what was happening. It's not like you were dumb, but you never like judged me or shamed me.
That's awesome.
Does that make sense? Like you never, I never felt that from you. Obviously I felt like, okay, Mel probably doesn't like what's happening, but it wasn't like in a like bad way. It wasn't like, I hate you, stop doing this, why are you doing this? It was more like, I knew you still love me, but you knew this wasn't good for me too at the same time. So yeah, I remember that day, and it was just like, for me, I just had to like stop and like say, this is no more. And that was like the end of it. And that I remember, I think I came, I probably cried, and I think I came to you, I don't know if you remember this, in the coffee shop, and I maybe I had like a few tears that I just wiped away or whatever, and I was just like, okay, and moved on with life, and then, you know, fast forward, and obviously I'm in a good place now, but yeah, and like, you don't even, me and Melissa were talking about this, or was it Melissa? Sometimes you don't get like the full like closure in a relationship that you want, or that you think you need, but sometimes it's not necessary. You don't need it, and you just have to focus on yourself and getting yourself better. You're never going to have that full closure experience, like, okay, this is our last conversation and it's going to go exactly the way you want it, because it's probably not going to go exactly the way you want it. And you just sometimes never fully get that closure, and you just have to move on with life and keep moving forward, keep things positive. For me, I like to think positively and look at the good things, because that helps me get through. But of course, it's going to be hard if you end up in a breakup or whatever, but you just have to keep it going and keep moving, even if you don't get that closure. So, yeah. I don't know. Shani, relationships?
Gosh, where to start?
Where do I start?
I am the queen of making mistakes.
Pass the crown around, please.
I think I don't know if you guys romanticize things
all the time.
I like overly.
Are you a woman?
I think so. I think that's what Pastor Alex actually one time sat with me, and he's been through a lot with me, and told me like it is, and he basically said, I think you're overly romanticizing these situations, like, and it was really good to hear, because I was like, oh wow, like my standards might be unrealistic for this scenario, for this person even. And anyways, looking back on like my past relationships, I'm like, wow, that was definitely present. And so I haven't been in an actual relationship since I was 22, which was 8 years ago. Hey. And it feels weird to say, but also feels really good, because I can identify the areas that I've grown in and become stronger in. Because I'm a weak girl when it comes to relationships, honestly. Like, Oh, it's so bad. But yeah, I just recently was like, I definitely want to be in a relationship at some point that will lead to marriage.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone who's interested around me. I have a pretty good standard in my opinion. Like, I don't have a lot of physical standards, but a lot of character and personality standards.
That's awesome.
And obviously there's like some things physically that's like, oh, maybe it won't work out. But if your character and personalities match, it's like, okay, that's the seller for me.
Yeah.
So I give people in my mind, I'm like, oh, that could work out. And I've been open with people. I'm that girl that will tell people that I'm interested.
We're opposites.
Not all the time though. I've only done it like twice, and it's ended with me being quite mortified. And they've both been like, huh?
So
I
much
do give you
props,
props,
dude.
though.
That's
That's
huge.
hard.
That's hard.
I think that's a sign
What?
for me.
To do it? To say it?
Yes.
Do it!
This is your sign.
I mean,
This is my
honestly,
sign.
how else will you know? Otherwise, I just
Yeah,
pine
well,
away for
photos.
years, and
Yeah.
then I'll
Yeah.
find out when that person starts dating someone else that he's not into me. So, yeah, the two people that I've told that I'm interested in were like really good friends, still really good friends. But one of them was very like, hey, I appreciate you sharing, but not interested. And I'm like, okay, cool. And we've just gotten closer since then.
Yeah.
The other one was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then it was like, oh, I'm into you. And then a couple days later, oh, I changed my mind.
Couple days
A couple
later.
days later, I was like, this is the one, finally. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
don't.
Okay, we'll talk
You have
about
to-
it
yeah, tell
later.
me. We're not gonna need
But
that.
I still like love him very much as my friend.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's all water under the bridge now. But man, those are hard situations for me. And so at this point, I've just decided, hey, like I put myself out there, and I'm not too forward. I'm not too like out there. I don't feel like, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just try something new. So is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You share whatever you
Okay.
want to share.
Yeah.
I just recently went on a Christian dating app.
Yeah.
Which is not something like I dog on people for doing, but it's something I never thought I would want to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, but I was like, you know what? I got to freaking try it because this is like my last resort at this point.
I love
and
it.
I mean, for putting all my effort out there.
Yeah.
And so, and then after that, I was just going to be like, hey, you know what, Lord, it's in your hands. If it's not meant to be, I'll go to the convent. I'm just kidding. I don't think I could ever. But anyways, so I go on and like a month of just like, different conversations, keep it light. And it's still very light.
Yeah.
But like, I'm kind of like, seeing this one guy, and it's pretty cool. Like it's worked out like to this point. And,
love it.
I'm cool. I'm like in a good place where enjoying getting to know a person who's
Yeah.
enjoying getting to know me.
and not
If it-
doing anything crazy
Yeah.
or like it's just literally getting to know
Yes.
somebody
And
going
also
places.
keeping like the biggest mistake I've made in the past is keeping things secret too
Yeah.
from people who hold me accountable. So I've made sure to be very open with like
Yeah.
a couple different accountability groups that
Yeah.
I've formed over the years, and my family, because they're
Right.
important to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. And it's
Right.
funny because we have a running joke like, hey, if we don't like each other next week, we can cancel these plans, but let's just schedule it in for now.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
awesome.
pretty light and fun.
awesome.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely nerve-wracking. And I made this decision. I was like, I'll go on, but I'm not starting any conversations. They're coming to me.
Yeah.
And so
That's
it's
awesome.
cool. It worked out. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, don't like put people in the box that the guy has to come to the girl, or that you can't be open about like being
Right.
interested, even if it's just like a light interest of like seeing if there's something possible.
Mm-hmm.
And some people around us do that, right? It's not everyone. And they're the ones, funny enough, that maybe some of us have thought were sketchy before. But as time goes by, it's like, you know what? That was probably a wise decision for them to make, to not be like super forward with everyone about it and just keep it in their circle to like try things out, because
Right.
otherwise they're going to be looked at as like, I don't know, getting around. It's
Yeah.
like, that's not what it is. They're just trying to see who they fit with. So yeah, it's all good.
I think that's like the beauty of like just technology and things progressing is like that is an option.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just kind of been given, I don't know, dating apps just have like a bad rep, I feel like. But I think that if I had no friends that I was, or not no friends, but if I didn't have anybody who was around my circle and I wasn't married or anything like that, then I would probably do that because I'm not one to just go out to dinners or like go out to the club. And that's like where people would normally meet people, right? You're going out to the club or you're going out to parties or something like that. And that's just not me. So like, I know I wouldn't find anybody because I'm not around people. So I feel like that's such like a good way, obviously keeping it light like you said and not taking it too seriously and blah blah blah. But yeah, I think that's so awesome that you did that and like took a step out of your comfort zone and probably did something that people were like, seriously, why are you doing that? But I love that you are doing it, and it seems like you don't care about those people who are saying seriously. And I love that you said letting people know, letting friends know, letting your family know, because that too like makes a huge difference, because it just shows that you're not just trying to get like a one night stand or anything like that.
Otherwise, I'd be on Tinder. So I've heard. I don't know.
I know nothing about any of
No judgment. I've met some Christians who have met on Tinder and they're married and happy.
And it works, you know? No, but I think it's such like, especially for me who's an introvert, like that would be the way to go, because I'm not out going to all these crazy things. But
and it sounds like you're having fun, Shani.
Yeah, it does sound
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love it. Mel, I want to hear from you. Your perspective.
My perspective on relationships, I think they're beautiful and I think they're great. At Mel Badiles, by the way, I'm single. Shani's gonna have to help me sign up on a dating app right after this.
For real? Right
No, that just makes me so nervous.
Let me choose some photos for you.
You're so funny. You guys are funny. No, I think relationships are beautiful.
Yeah.
And I can't say I didn't struggle in the past. But I think the common thread is we've all became so secure. And like how April was saying, like, oh, I know what my boundaries is gonna be.
Right.
And you guys just know your worth. And me too, I've been in situationships, maybe it was in my own head by myself, you know, the romanticizing friendships and all that stuff. I've been in situationships and it's not fun, but I've learned a lot. I've learned that I ain't gonna settle for anything. The relationship is gonna be mirrored, you know, that what I put out, it's not that I expect to receive, but why am I gonna waste my time? And I've recently met some really good friends, guy friends, who have just set the bar, because I thought like a lot of people tell me, Mel, your expectations are so high. And I'm like, looking at their marriage or relationships, I was like, I mean, are you gonna try and give me advice? Dude, you know, you're gonna try and give me advice, but not to judge, but I'm still I listen to what they have to say, but it's not the same things I desire. And I just feel it on my heart. I probably do need to put myself out there more, whatever that looks like. You said you're introverted, you would go on a dating app, it'd be better. But I'm like, extroverted on crack, and I can meet anyone and everyone, and it's still a struggle. And I do meet everyone and anyone, but it is still a struggle and it's still hard. But I've realized that there are great guys out there. If you're watching,
That's awesome.
The guys watching the girls talk.
If you guys should be watching a girls talk if you're trying to get your spouse. I'm just saying,
let's go.
there are great guys out there that are just as intentional and know what. I've learned that the guys that are super great have worked on themselves, and they're just mature, and there's levels to this, and we ain't settling, no. And I'd rather commit to someone in that way than be like, that's it, I'm gonna settle for any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Hey, Harry, you want to do this? And he doesn't even meet my expectations, and I'm not good for him. He's not good for me. Like, I'd rather be single than settle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Single over settle.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so single.
That's where I'm at.
That's why I'm so single. Because I'm like, you know what? God just has so much for me. And I truly believe it with all my heart.
Yeah.
And It's gonna happen one day.
Yeah.
But I probably should get on a dating app. I don't know if now, but you know, if you're watching this video, at
I'll do it
Melville
for you.
Instagram, slide into them DMs.
Yeah, slide into the
I was kidding.
DM.
I want to
I'm
hear
just
all about
kidding.
the fun stories, Mel. You tell the best stories too.
What fun stories?
Oh,
that
I'll
you're
tell you
gonna
some
when you
later.
go on dates and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
We
when
got
I
the
go on
future,
dates. Oh, the
we
future,
gotta-
the
Or
We
just
gotta
the
know the
interactions, really.
updates.
Yeah, interactions.
You know what? I've been on friend dates and they're pretty stinking awesome.
Really?
And I'm like, dude, ain't nobody coming in here and trying to take me on a date without meeting that. And that's hard because I'm like, I don't
Right.
mean to put the other guy down, but I'm like, if my friends are doing this for me, like my guy friends,
Right.
whatever, my boyfriends, whatever, if they're doing this for me and, you know, it's
Right.
it's not official, then why the heck am I going to settle for anything less?
Yeah.
My friends are opening the door, paying for me, telling me I look lovely, or, you know, those kind of things, and just being a gentleman
Yeah.
and being super intentional. And there's no romance there unless you're watching this and there is, and you need to tell me something. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
She went for it.
I didn't go for that. I was shoot my shot, dog. I'm just joking. No, but if you know, if my friends can do that for me and
Right.
I am mirroring the same intentionality back, then why not expect more from our future spouses? And it's like, I like how you guys said that. Just because you go on a date doesn't mean you're gonna marry the dude.
Yeah.
And I think like I've been conditioned in that way. Before
Same.
before I started following Jesus, it was like, oh, whatever, you just date, and it was kind of normal. And then I got into the church and it's like, oh, you got to be careful. You got this, you got that, you got this, you got that. And I'm just like, I'm so confused. So now I'm trying to like unlearn certain things, but then have like a healthy boundary there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like I knew it, I knew it in the past before I started following the Lord, and then I knew it as a Christian. Now I'm kind of like, let me just try to put this together. But we'll see what happens. Maybe next year we'll be talking different. And
Hey, with the ring on the finger. No, but I love that because I feel like I love what you said about settling, because I feel like in today's day and age, like somebody in the world will probably tell you like, oh, well, you've been single for how long? Like, just date anybody, just go for anybody. But I love that you're standing firm on like not settling for anybody and everybody, you know, because it's your future spouse. It's somebody you're gonna be with forever, until you die. Yeah. So you don't want to settle with just anybody just for this, just to say that you're married, for the sake of saying you're married. So I love that, and I love that you're like standing firm on that. Yeah. Because that's super awesome.
It's like getting fast food, if you want it here, you want it now, it's fast food. But if you want like main course, you want an entree, appetizer, you know what I'm saying? Try to get the full course, you gotta get the dessert. You know what I'm saying? It'll cost a little more.
I didn't mean it like that.
Wow!
I did not mean it like that.
You got any more other relationship things you want to talk about up in here?
I swear I did not mean it like that.
Put the kids
I'm a
away.
dessert
Put the kids
girl.
away. Put the kids away. What were you referring to when you said dessert?
I literally love dessert. Like you literally can't forget the brownie, the dessert. You know what I mean?
You can't
You were
forget
naming everything with the dessert.
creme brulee. You're right.
Oh, I don't
But
know about
fast
the
food
creme
ain't good for
brulee,
you. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, oh, this is fast. It's not always good for you.
Oh no, that's good. That's awesome.
Gourmet takes time.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
Relationships. We could talk about it forever, I'm sure.
Forever.
But to end the episode on Girl Talk, I just wanted to talk about like friendships and accountability. We kind of talked about it a little bit, Shani, with you, but why is that important? I mean, obviously, I think we've talked about it being important in the relationship sense, but also just like knowing that you have like friends, especially girls, that because we all know like the girl minds, it's kind of crazy. We're kind of crazy sometimes. So to like be able to have like girls, women in your life that you can turn to and like just get advice from, and even like how I mentioned earlier, like I've called you crying probably I don't even know how many times.
I need a therapist. No, I'm just joking.
She needs a therapist from me. No, but like just even crying to you about like just random things that we're going through, and like sometimes you just need that. You need that kind of accountability. Even like the group that we were in that was like kind of short-lived, but like that you recently revived. Like it's so good to like have accountability and friendships, and I don't know, for me, I don't know where I would be without it, because especially in those rough seasons of my life, and not just relationships, but even the struggles that my family has gone through recently, to be able to just literally just talk about it. That's all I need. And that's all I need, is just somebody who's listening, and not even necessarily to give advice, because it's such a crazy, not an everyday relatable situation, but it's just an ear to hear. And you guys have been that for me, and just the many seasons of life, like I said, 10 years, right, of like friendship at least. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of like end it with that, like accountability. Why is it important? Why do you guys think it's important in different seasons of life? Any of you guys, take it away.
Well, I think for me, I'm more of like a person that does like keeps to myself when it comes to stuff. And for whatever reason, I'm always embarrassed to share. Like I have trust issues when it comes to just sharing. And like I need to know that it's a safe space before I share. And I'm sharing with everybody and anybody, obviously. But I think that's what I struggled with. And I always had like surface level friendships. Like it was not like, it was like, oh cool, we go to school together and then we do stuff together, but I don't really talk about my life and what I'm going through. And I think that affected how I went through life a lot. And like I think I also, in that relationship that I mentioned earlier, like I just didn't talk to anybody about it because I was ashamed of like of what happened. And like funny thing is, like when I'm in therapy, my therapist is like, April, do you have people that can go deep in the darkest depths of your soul with you, where you don't have to fix anything, you just be there and listen? No, I don't. Honestly, like I didn't. And I had to cultivate that in my friendships. And Shani was one of the first ones that I think I had a connection with and shared a lot of stuff that I've never really shared with people.
That's awesome.
And that was like, and Shani is so amazing. Such an amazing listener.
She's
and
such
like,
a good listener.
Seriously, and like an affirmer of like, Shani, like you hear what I'm saying,
Don't cry,
and you're
Shani.
with me.
She's gonna cry. I'm gonna cry because you cried. No,
like,
but it's true.
Yeah, it's like a healing moment, and I still struggle to let people in. Because I try to keep, like I have this thing where I have to fix everything first and then share. But like I have to be able to share right here, right now, with what I'm feeling, you know? And I think lately I've also like just isolated myself too. Like I just got busy with work, I'm stressed, and I'm like, I really don't have the energy. I'm also an introvert, so put all of that into one. Like I haven't reached out to any of my friends, and I feel it affecting me. It's like, you know, when like I talk about the deepest, darkest depth of your soul, it's like you go there and like, oh wait, I don't have anybody to wade with. Like I feel alone in this. And I think there's so much power in friendships, you know, and I'm discovering that at 27 years old. Like I didn't really have good friends. And now I do. Like I definitely can say that I do. I have people that walk with me through a lot of the things. And sometimes friendships are seasonal. Like, you know, like you have friends that you've known for a long time, but they come back in certain ways. And like, I see beauty in that too, because you get to grow like alone and then come back and you're like, oh yeah, you've grown too. Or like, wow, you changed so much in this way. And I think like there's always different friends that you can go to for different things. So I'm discovering just how awesome it is, but also like my tendencies to to stay away, and I'm working on that. Like people are reaching out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to hang out. Okay, I'm gonna hang out, and then I end up loving it. You know,
exactly.
Just outside of my comfort zone.
I think I'm like the same as you. Like I keep everything, and then like sometimes it'll just explode. Again, you probably experience those, like where I just keep everything and then I just explode and let it all out, and then I'm like crying on the phone and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, I think sometimes like I can feel like a burden, like sharing all of this like heavy stuff that I'm going through, or all of my emotions. But really, like I think about now that you're saying that, if I really flip it the other way, and if like you were going through something heavy and you were to like put it on me, like it wouldn't be a burden to me. Like how Shani is a great listening ear, like just listening. I don't know. So like for me, it's getting that mindset out of like being a burden, because it's like I would never look at somebody that way if they were going to share what's going on in their life with me. So that was like, that's a hard thing. And I'm still struggling with it. Like I still keep things to myself every now and then. And that was one thing I had to learn with Pono, is like learning to like, just when something's bothering me, instead of like just avoiding it and shunning it and keeping it quiet, like share it, you know? So yeah, that's super powerful. And like, yeah, I love that you're going through that, because that's just a reminder for me to continue to share, and we're not a burden for sharing our lives with people. And yeah, I don't know, that's such a crazy thing that I think, and I'm like, why am I even doing that? Because I wouldn't think the other way of it around. But.
Right, and if there are people who do say that, like, you know, like, oh, you know, you're taking out too much of my time, they're just not the right people.
Yeah,
you know?
There we go. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Shani?
Yeah. I mean, I think in Christian communities, we've like been taught to have accountability, to uphold the standards of like the Bible and Jesus in our lives. But I think accountability would be important in anybody's life, like even if you're not a Christian, like understand what your values are, what is going to affect you in a negative way in different kinds of relationships or aspects of life, and have somebody help you guard that, you know? Like when you're, especially romantic relationships, you're not thinking clearly. If it's a heated argument with your family member, you're not thinking clearly. Like, have somebody you can go to and be like, hey, honestly, this is where I messed up, or this is where someone hurt me. Like, whether they're giving you advice or you're just sharing, at least you're not alone, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's been something for me, because I'm like a very emotional person. I've been very angry in the past. I've been very sad, like very happy, all of the things. And I just need people to help me hold all of those things and keep me like from making decisions that are going to like wreck me, honestly. I'm just a mess sometimes. And just one listening ear and one like affirming word could change the trajectory of my life in different scenarios. And it has, like, honestly. So that's like accountability. You don't even have to call it that. Just call it a good friend, you know? But I've like been in such Christian circles that I've like made groups, and I've had like 3 or 4 different really solid groups, and though they've been seasonal, and the groups have disbanded, it's like each relationship will remain lifelong as long as I have anything to do with it. Like, I value that so much. And it might look different, but that person has made an impact in my life so much during that season that I don't want to let that go, because I'll cherish what they've done for me and who they've been for me forever. So there was something else I was going to say about it, but accountability is just really beautiful, and just guarding each other well, helping each other not destruct. I think there's like, I know quite a few people that, there's one person, I'll say one person. We were kind of friends during a season that was really heavy for both of us. And I still love her very much, but we're definitely not close anymore. But she shared with me at one point, the reason why we started drifting was because she was in this relationship that she knew wasn't great for her, but she didn't want to tell me because she felt that I would probably be judgmental, to sum it up. So that was a good heart check for me, that I don't respond within my circles of accountability with judgment, or even with instruction or like advice, but to be that listening ear at all times, and just, even if they know and acknowledge they're making a mess or I'm making a mess, like maybe it's just to be there for them so that at the worst time they'll have someone, you know? Because there's just so many people out there that don't have anyone, and at their worst moments might do the worst things, you know? So that's accountability purpose to me.
And it's also people that you give permission beforehand to tell you. This is like, that's huge. For people to have the permission to be like, hey, Shani, this is like not the best. Or it's like, you know, like people don't have that in. And then when you give them that in, it's more, I think, fruitful.
Yeah, that's good. That's true. Mel, what do you think?
Accountability is great, guys. It's great. Man, I had a thought and it went away. But yeah, I think for me, I've given certain people permission to speak into my life, because I know that, there it is. the people that I've decided to speak into my life are those who I know want what's best for me. If you're a Christian, want God's best for me.
Yeah.
Even sometimes more than ourselves, because we can self-destruct, whatever that looks like for an individual. I don't want to say too much because it's kind of sensitive, but I've given certain people that permission to speak into my life, because when I, face something that may be hard, when I'm have choices to make and I present it in front of these people, it's like, even if they say what's against me, because our emotions, are going. And even if they say something to me that I don't necessarily agree with in the moment, I've literally given them permission to be like, Mel, that ain't wise, that ain't smart. And even if I feel like, you don't know what you're talking about, Alyssa, I'm gonna take it back and I'm gonna say, you know what, she's probably right, because I'm not all there. My vision is blurred, my emotions are going crazy. So that's what accountability has looked like for me over the years. And I've had, what's funny is a lot of my friends that hold me accountable are on the mainland, but there's so much beauty in it. You don't need to be close in proximity physically, but you can still have that in-depth relationship.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. Yeah. Like how you said, as long as I'm living, I'm going to make sure, this stays. And so, accountability has been everything. And it has changed the direction of my life for the better.
Yeah.
But even when it's hard, we just have to, I guess, lean into that. And then, see if that's, I do pray about it sometimes, because I'm like, I think you're a little cuckoo in your choices. And I feel okay, You ever had somebody tell you like, I don't know if that's right. And then in your head, you're like, wait, I feel like I'm okay. And my decisions are okay. Maybe they're off. But then, you know what I mean? Like, I've had those situations too. Recently, in fact. I've had those situations. And so, it's been everything. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, though.
True.
And I have one of my best friends, she gives it to me. We had a conversation recently, and she was just real because of the love that we have for one another. I told her, I said, hey, be real with me. And she was very real. And I know you're going to watch this, so I love you. You know who you are. And she was very real with me. And I appreciate that, because it sharpens my character. And it makes me reflect on, I'm not perfect, but it makes me reflect on my choices and my decisions, and every single thing, every single choice that we make as individuals, it doesn't only affect ourselves, it affects every single person around us. So I've learned that along the way too, to be mindful, and that has a lot to do with accountability and allowing people to speak into my life. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's that serious depth of like, hey, you keep each other in check. Like, but there's also like the fun part of having friends. Like that's what I think I'm desiring the most right now in my season. Is like, I just want to go have fun with my friends. And
you got my number, April Jane.
Well,
you got my number, April Jane. She got my number.
Yeah, karaoke.
808.
Like all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's so good.
I was getting too serious right now. Like, it's fun. Friendship is fun.
Right. 100%.
It's the best thing
both,
ever.
Yeah.
But when it comes to accountability, sometimes it can be serious. Sometimes it's actually really funny, because you be acting cuckoo and making these choices, and it's like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's just so much love and beauty there. And then when you have friends that mirror back your intentionality, that has been the biggest thing in my season of this life. Is like, I've been running to where there's life and leaning into it, even when I'm tired, even when I'm having, I have my introvert days, I promise I do. But even when I'm having those moments where it's like, I just want to be by myself, and then someone like hits me up and it's just someone that's full of life.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to go to where life is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to experience that. And it's not to be like, give me everything, but I want to be where life is. And I'm pretty sure you guys do the same. And just as much as you guys want to be, or I want to be where life is, just imagine how much you're life-giving to that other individual as well. So that's been a big part of my season when it comes to relationships, is leaning into where life is, and fun, and just adventure, and leading into things that I would normally not do, that I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna die right now, but I'm just gonna do it because, you know, I'm up for anything. Not to be foolish, but just to enjoy life. And that's the beauty of relationships. You do all kind of things that you don't expect, and next thing you know it, you're like, let's do it again.
Right.
So yeah, there's so much beauty in relationships.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope that you guys had fun.
Yeah.
Today.
So much fun.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun. I don't know about you guys, but I hope you did. But I also learned a lot. I mean, I continue to learn a lot from you guys. And I just want to say thanks for being my friends for the past however many years and dealing with my craziness and my silliness, and also coming over to my house, because that's like the best. And I love late night conversations and everything. And you guys have definitely been some women that I look up to and am always encouraged by and love so much. So thanks for being on the podcast, the first Girl Talk. Hopefully we can have another one in the future sometime.
Let's go.
That'll be awesome.
That'll be
and
fun.
hopefully you guys can come visit us in Alabama.
Definitely.
Hopefully maybe we'll have a ranch by then. Who knows?
Ooh.
If it's up to Pono, it would be a yes. But
Yes.
please come visit. You guys
That'd be
always
so
have a place
fun.
with
Yes.
us. But yeah, thanks for being a part of the podcast. And thanks everybody for listening. We hope you learned a little something, a little something today. You got some wisdom for all the girls out there. But yeah, we hope you tune in to next week's episode. It's going to be a good one. And we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Let's go get some dessert.
Dessert.
Dessert. Oh my God.